I know he's gonna start some nonsense.
I'm not.
See this guy. Welcome back.
Back to D.C.X. Today we are here joined with
Rue Cooper.
we've got Danny Cliff, and I'm your co-host, El Richie.
I'm nervous.
Nah, I'm scared, bro. It's like, yeah, every day is some nonsense, man.
Guys, today we are here with Rue Cooper because the last time we recorded her, her video got lost, so we could only release it on Spotify. Meow.
Yeah.
So now she's back to do
Now
an
I'm
episode
back.
2. She's a recurring guest now.
Rue, do you wanna give us a small intro about yourself again?
Yeah.
This time on video. Oh damn. Who are you? What do you do? Name, address, postcode, bank card. Yeah.
All right. Oof. The definition has changed quite a bit since the last time I was here. Well, my name's Rue Cooper. I'm a singer. I'm a songwriter. I dabble in some music educational things now as well. I'm 25, turning 26 this year.
Damn. What? Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Nope. Nope.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways.
Which is weird. That feels really weird. I'm originally from Nassau, Bahamas, as Richie just found out today,
No,
which is a little bit insulting.
let's not lie. Let's not lie. I knew you were from Bahamas. I just didn't clock you were from Bahamas. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, oof.
That's
We'll
what
work
I'm
on the
about to-
sounds. We'll work on the sounds throughout the episode. But yeah, what else? I originally came to Edinburgh. This is going to be my 4th year in the city come September. I came for my master's program in international development because I wanted to be a diplomat. But then I had a bit of a coming of age crisis when I was in my student accommodation. I was just like thinking about what I really want to do with my life. And I decided I want to be a musician. So since then, I have formed a band called Groove Down. New name, pending soon. We're taking a little bit of a creative hiatus to rebrand a little bit, which I'm excited about. And this year, I'm also looking to do more solo things because now I officially have my global talent visa.
Hold on.
It's the orange one. No.
Right.
Yeah, that
I don't know. I feel like you guys are setting me up with the sounds today. So yeah, now that I have that out the way, I'm just looking to do more musical things this year because I'm out of survivor mode. So I hope to release some singles this year with myself, with the band. Release an EP as well, just a solo EP. Continue doing music, youth work initiatives. That's been a really rewarding part of my professional development so far. And just taking it from there.
Sweet. I'd like to touch on some things. Hope I remember all of them. You're from the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
When I first met you, I thought you were American because of your accent.
It's international school. And also I get that from a lot of Bahamians. But at this point, I feel as if like when you're someone who moves around a lot, because I finished education in the Bahamas in like 2017, then went to the States for 4 years. Then I've been here for almost 4 years. That's almost 10 years away from home. So then you're not really around people from your own country. It's just so hard to like, not stay true to your roots, but it's just kind of hard to like, I guess, to continue developing that part of yourself. Like when everyone who's like you is like thousands of miles away, you know?
I
But
relate to that.
I think it's just the sacrifice of exposure. I still feel Bahamian. I think it's still very important to me. And I don't for me, like I've just had to, I guess, navigate that insecurity of like maybe not sounding the most Bahamian or not maybe being like the most like Bahamian presenting person. But it's also like you don't need to be a certain way or like sound a certain way to be from a place, you know? Like that's my home. It's always going to be my home. And I'm just who I am. I've always talked like this. So it is what it is at this point.
How do you feel when people hear you speak and they like maybe assume that you're American? Do you get like offended?
Well, it's kind of weird because on the one hand, I literally am American because I was born there, but then I was literally only there for like the first 2 months of my life, you know? And then my whole family is Bahamian.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, I'm like, damn, they're kind of right, you know? Because technically I am, but like I'm definitely more Bahamian than American, you know? So, but yeah, to go back to like the actual like emotional meaning behind it, it's, I feel like it's just more so of a representation of how like people assume a lot of things are American when they're just not British. Like me being here in the UK.
Fucks.
Because when I went to undergrad in North Carolina, like Americans would hear me speak and they would be like, oh, you're definitely not American.
Oh,
You
really?
know? Yeah, because for me, like I could understand how my accent may not be like the thickest Caribbean accent ever, but also compared to an American, I don't think I sound American. You know, if anything, I may just have more of like a neutral accent, but like neutral doesn't have to mean American
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people who've gone to international schools just kind of end up having more of a neutral accent.
Yeah, I agree.
But American dialects vary depending on like where you are in the States as well. And I feel as if when you compare how I speak to those like regional accents, they don't just match up, you know? So I think it's just more so of like needing more exposure about like people who don't instantly sound like they're from the UK. That doesn't instantly mean they're American.
Yeah. Also, like maybe because you're black as well. It's like, as you know, you're a black person, you sound American, so you are American.
Maybe. But you know, like for me, I think that like, well, just like Black American accents, once again, vary by region, but I also don't think I have a very Southern US accent or maybe more of like a West Coast or like East Coast, like Black accent. So that's also something where I'm like if you knew about the different kinds of like accents and how they actually sound in the States, I wouldn't say mine is similar to it. I just don't have that same drawl, you know? I would say my drawl, like the way that I pronounce like vowels and stuff, all that is very Caribbean with like the emphasis on like A's and like I's, you know?
Yeah. Me bomba clap.
I was gonna ask as well. Can you give us some patois? Some,
No.
like, heavy, no? Is that not your
Yes.
field?
Well, because, and this is another thing. It's like when people think of like Caribbean accents, they just instantly default to Jamaican accents.
yeah, I know.
So it's like patois, like no, because
No,
I don't
none of
speak
that.
it.
So I'm just being racist.
Yeah.
My bad. My
Well,
bad. My bad.
some form of it.
Like I've got a Christian friend.
I thought you were going to say Christian question. I was like,
So, like I've got a friend of mine. She went to our church, and she's Nigerian American. So Nigerian raised in America. And then she came here, and you just made me realize how yes, there actually is a difference in accent when you speak. She, I think, is from Florida. I was been to Florida. Maybe she was more in the south. I don't know where stuff is on the map because I don't care about America that much. Where she's Floridanese. And
we're off to a super strong start, guys.
and when she speaks, like it actually sounds like there's a difference. So I kind of understand what you mean with like the neutral sound of things. Yeah, no, it makes sense now. Like I've learned something here today.
Yeah, and I feel as if like my mom, I mean both of my parents, they're a bit older than like people like in my age range. And I think my parents growing up under colonial rule in the Bahamas, definitely had something to play, because I think my mom really internalized, okay, speak proper English, you know, and she really like emphasized grammatical rules to me, and not in a harsh way, you know, just like in a, oh, this is like how to form a sentence kind of way. And for like anyone out there who's familiar with like Bahamian, just like the way that we speak, our dialect is like, is based on, yeah, I love how we can hear the watch. It's formed on broken English, you know? So I think just that concept of like being like indoctrinated with like how to speak properly, right?
Yeah.
And also culturally, that being the exact opposite, that was just like something that like caused a lot of dissonance. And because I already learned it one way, it was just so hard to learn it another way, especially when you had someone being like, oh, that's not actually right.
Yeah.
Which isn't something, I think if I could go back in time, that would be something that I would want to change. Like, just because I think it's really important to just embrace your culture and not just being like, from the Caribbean or from the Bahamas. I think no matter where you are, it's just important to like embrace how you speak and like not have that be seen as like less than, because I think it's also something in like Scottish schools right now, at least what I've heard with some like people who are Scottish that I've encountered, there's this pressure to not sound as Scottish, you know?
Yeah.
Like some teachers kind of put that onto students, and I don't know if that's like a state school thing or if maybe that's more like prominent in like private schools. I don't know what your experience was with that.
I think it's a mix of also some parents, they don't want their kids to have like a Scottish accent or anything. For example, like if you go up to a black person and be like, all right, let's say you move to Glasgow, you have a kid, and you put them in school, are you gonna accept that accent or something? And then it's like, nah, I'm not gonna let my kid have that. Shane, what's happening to me? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I think it is a mix of that, along with some schools. Definitely in private schools. In private schools, I think they're gonna focus more on the way you speak. I don't think I've ever met anyone that went to a private school that still got like a strong Scottish accent.
To me, like some people, like at least in Edinburgh, like, you know, maybe let's say like 25 and younger, sometimes they sound very American to me.
Yeah.
By American, I mean more so like that neutral accent. And I know I'm contradicting myself, you know?
Yeah.
But for me, like just on a first glance, you hear them speak and you're like, oh.
Sister?
No!
Brother?
Also, can I turn my mic volume down a
Oh, yeah,
little
sure.
bit?
How's that?
This is better.
Cool.
But yeah,
Actually,
like,
I can turn your headphones on if that's cool.
You can turn my headphones on.
Down.
Hello?
yeah, that washing machine is hopefully
going
that doesn't
crazy.
get-
Fly off. How's
that
that?
washing machine.
This is better. Yeah, is this better? I don't know. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
we can hear
Yeah.
you fine.
Well, can you turn my headphone volume up a little bit?
Up, okay.
Hello?
Hello. How do we sound to you?
Hello?
Hello. Are we getting some ASMR? Rue, give us a little bit.
Oh, that was kind of rough.
That's a new beat for a song.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Okay, so I've
Yeah.
got a question actually. So performance-wise, we've seen you perform, but is
Crazy.
there more?
Crazy with it.
Is there more?
Is there more?
Like, is
That's
there
it.
more to give?
Is there more performances? Is there more to give? Is there more of Rue Cooper? Is there more of Groove
Zoe
Down?
Cooper, like,
Oh, Zoe Cooper. We won't get into that.
No,
There's
let's
always
get
more.
into it. What's Zoe Cooper? Because I feel left out here.
You don't know Zoe Cooper?
Zoe Cooper.
Well, shout out to African Creative Entrepreneur Awards, because in 2023, I won Performer of the Year. However, even though they nominated me as Rue Cooper, and that's how they promoted my name throughout the whole event, when I was actually there that night, they called my name as Zoe Cooper. And that was a bit frustrating. Yeah.
racist.
Zoe Cooper.
Zoe Cooper.
Just unprovoked.
Yeah.
I think it was even on your trophy, was it?
Yeah, so I
No,
was
that's
like,
a different level of dyslexia. It's still like,
at this point, I don't even know what that is. Because no one there was called Zoe.
yeah.
And they also knew my name was Rue.
They had to like whiteify your name to make it easier to pronounce.
It was the African Creative Entrepreneur Awards. They were very complicated names that night. You know what I mean? Like
how do you spell? You know what I mean? But they got that right. They put that on the trophy, right? You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's all love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't mess up again, because that sounded like a threat.
It's a love, but
It's all love, but
No, I mean, it's just like, for me, it was a big moment. And then, like, of course, it sucks to like be really excited about something and then have like,
your name torn apart, put to shreds.
but I'm also no stranger to that because
Yeah.
like my name isn't Rue, you know, it's Renee. But
Is it?
yeah,
how do you
Renee?
spell?
see,
Rune.
Renee. But a lot of people think it's Renee. So growing up and I also have like a apostrophe, or yes, an apostrophe, an accent. It's an accent on the last E.
So it's R-U-E.
It's R-E-U-N-E with an
R-E-U.
accent on the E, the last E.
R-E-U-N-E.
Yeah.
Well, like your handles are like R-U-E.
Yeah, because I
Easier.
didn't. Well, I wasn't going to spell Rue.
Yeah.
R-E-U.
Ryu.
You know.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, but because I have that accent, you know, like on a lot of my official paperworks or like in school, like, you know, when they would print out names, they didn't print out the accent. So it would make my name look like Reuni or like Reun or like
Reunion.
Rune,
Reunify.
you know? So that was something also frustrating for me. And then when I went to the States, and because Americans weren't familiar with like my name, it would instantly be like, oh, I hear your name and I think it's Renee. So I'm going to start calling you Renee. And I was like, I could live with people not spelling my name right all the time, but like Renee just isn't my name. So I was like, let's just shorten it to Rue, because that was like a childhood nickname of mine. So that's when I started going by Rue. Like maybe, I think it was sophomore year of undergrad. So yeah, I just kept it around as a stage name. But some of my close friends still know me as Renee, you know? And I love my name, but it's just more so like, let's keep things
Simple, yeah.
a bit simpler. And I just like Rue Cooper as a stage name.
Yeah.
So yeah, to go back to your question though, Richie, like, is there more? There's always more to give. And I feel like I'm trying to find my footing again after spending all of last year with my visa. You know, it was quite an extensive process, quite an exhausting process. And I was like burning myself out a lot, trying to perform, trying to, you know, release music with the band to make sure that I could get reviews, to like, you know, meet the criteria that I needed to build up my portfolio even more. So right now, like I'm not very focused on performing with myself as a solo artist or the band, just because I think that like we did so much gigging last year.
Yeah.
Like there was a point where we were gigging sometimes multiple times a week, which is amazing. But then it doesn't give you a lot of time to be creative, you know?
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't give you time to songwrite. It doesn't give you time to just like kind of be still and like focus on goals, because it's just such a demanding, you know, requirement to perform all the time. So I definitely do want to gig more this year, but I just want to take some time to write more music for my EP. I want to take more time to write some songs for the band. I want to take some time for us to get together and like do some songwriting as well. And I feel as if like with that new fuel, when we do perform again or like go more into performing, it'll be something fresh, you know? Something I think that like represents like the growth that we've been undergoing personally, but just haven't really had the time to display because of the demand.
Yeah. Have we got maybe a sneak peek to the name of this EP of yours that we need to keep an eye out for?
Actually, yeah. I'm going to call my EP this thing called Happiness.
this thing called happiness, that full name. Fair enough.
And
Like-
I wrote a song underneath the same name. And I was like, no, this captures the EP really well, because for me, like, I don't really post on social media that often. I do want to get into that more though, like from an artistic standpoint. But the reason I haven't been like super outwardly active is because so much has been going on for me in the last like 18 months, you know? So much of like shifting jobs, like the visa, huge thing, you know? But also just like personally, so many things were happening. So for me, like, I think the last time I was on the podcast, like I was talking to you guys about like, just like
Existential.
exactly, existentialism.
So come again? Existentialism.
Yeah, you know, just like the whole concept of like, what does it mean to be? What are you here for? What are you doing? And this has been something that like I haven't really been able to shake from like my consciousness lately. Because it's just like, as an artist, especially with the music industry being so complex at the moment, it's like, are you doing the right thing? How do you break in? Am I using my time wisely? But what kind of artist do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to have? Like all these intersecting questions. I think there are a lot to think about, especially when the world seems very unstable at this moment. So I just started writing songs about that, about, you know, wanting to be better. But then I also lately have just started writing songs that capture like the essence of being human, but just more in like a very like overall approach, like intimacy, relationships, self-doubt, you know, depression. And I think that was something that I had to come to terms with lately. Like I do have the I do tend to have depressive episodes quite a lot, you know? And I think that's something that I'm still trying to figure out, because so much of the time you're like, oh no, it's not depression, it's not depression. But then you're also like, but I'm just,
Is it? Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would call myself a depressed person in like the clinical sense, but also having to accept that there is something there and it's heavy, and this is what seems to be your roadblock at the moment. So the EP is a very personal project to me, in the sense of like it captures like just me trying to overcome that. And that's why I called it this thing called happiness, you know, because happiness is something that we put a lot of pressure on. And I think that makes it even harder to obtain. But yeah, I also just wanted to reflect on like just the day-to-day of being someone in your 20 somethings and trying to figure it all out, you know?
That was beautiful. I fully zoned in. Like damn.
It's funny
That's
that you
beautiful.
touch on the subject of existentialism as well, because I feel like
I'm
all
glad
of
we
us-
finally learned how to pronounce it.
Yeah. Because all of us here are artists, and the thing is, like, when you go and tell mama, papa, whoever that you want to do music, it's kind of like
Shut up.
it's
I'm
like,
studying
shut
psychology.
up. Why are you not a doctor? Why are you not a yada yada? And it's like we all kind of have been through that path where it's like, well, what do I want to be? Who do I want to become? And I think the artists that manage to stand through that and walk through that and continue doing music throughout, like, let's say, their whole life, and they just continue, even if the views don't go up, even if the likes don't go up or whatever, yada yada yada. These people have kind of reformed, in a sense, their art, because they've decided to stick with it for a long time, and even way later on they may not have come to who their art is or what their art is or anything like that. Do you get what I'm saying? So I like how is something that's quite relatable with every single artist, that this existential crisis that you kind of go through where it's like, do I stop music and just focus completely on something else, or do I continue music? Is something that all of us like have literally experienced, especially along with like that kind of depression where it's like sometimes a writer's block could send me down that road. You get what I'm saying? Where you've not written for like, it goes from one day to a week to a month to 3 months, and you're just like, nothing's coming in your head like at all, nothing at all. And then you finally have that kind of break where something's happened, something really deep's happened, and then you're like, I know exactly what to write. Like I really need to go and get that written down. But that's the beautiful subject, and the way you explained it as well, I think is just to a T. You know what I mean? It's brilliant, like absolutely beautiful. Would you say as well that because you're in a band, right? And so would you say as well, when it comes to things like writer's block and things, do you guys experience that collectively sometimes, or is it just one person that's kind of stuck in that hole? Or like, it probably fluctuates because everyone's different. But tell us about your experiences with Groove Down when it comes to this stuff.
I mean, it's been a bit challenging because the band has been a bit unstable for a while. Not now, but we had a bass player leave in like fall 2023. Then we had to audition a new bass player, and then we had to onboard that bass player in like January 2024. And then we had that bass player for a few months. And then that bass player left in like August 2024, you know? So then we had to think about where we want to go and then get a new bass player who we have now. And we know that he's not going to leave, you know? Because he's been a friend of the band before that, you know? So musically we were already aligned, but it was just more so a matter of like, are we going to get this guy whose main instrument is a guitar to be the bassist? And we were like, yeah, because we know that the chemistry is there. So he doesn't have to be a bass player in the true sense of the word now.
Yeah.
So all of that to say, like, that instability wasn't really the prime grounds for creativity. Because it's like, oh, okay, we released our first single, bass player's gone. Okay, let's try to release an EP. Okay, bass player is gone by the time that EP is out. You know? So, and that also takes a toll on your confidence because you think, do we have a problem as a band? Like, why does no one want to stick around? So to answer your question about writer's block, like for me in the band at the moment, I'm the only person who like writes lyrics to songs. So that does mean like a lot of the responsibility for finishing a song and like providing structure to a song does fall on me. So it's like, it's an individual thing, the writer's block, because if I have that writer's block, then like that's me, you know, but then it does affect the collective because then if like I'm not able to finish a song, the band doesn't really have material to work with. So yeah. What was the other part of your question?
So it was mainly just like so like for example the writer's block, where like do you think that kind of fluctuates throughout everyone, which I'm guessing is kind of a bit of a no and yes. It's really circumstantial and stuff. And then the other question, I vaguely remember it, but I do have another question. It's like and it's not necessarily related, it's just more so a bit of a sidetrack. With all the art that you guys are doing, would you ever even stem to like towards other genres? Like for example, we were talking about bluegrass before before we started recording. Would you ever guys like do stuff like that? Maybe country, things like that. This is just another question that I had sitting in my head.
You know what? I'm never gonna say no to anything because I think
Anything?
Well,
Drill?
To be honest,
I would do a feature on a drill song.
Would you? Really?
Yeah, why not?
Really? Okay.
I think we need to bring back features. You know,
Oh, without a doubt.
we need to bring back like, I mean, people are still doing features, but you know what I mean? Like we need to bring back features and have that be like something that like a song can revolve around.
What do you
know?
think the problem is with features though? Like at our level, what done? I want to start with you because I feel like you.
No.
Hey,
You first.
Daddy
Okay,
shy.
what do you think the problems are with features at our level in Scotland and yada yada?
I don't think there's any problem.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I think it comes down to like thinking that you're not at the point where you can ask somebody for a feature, or maybe that your work isn't good enough to have a feature,
Okay.
or maybe that like, oh, I don't even know when I'm going to release this song. It's a concept that I have up in the air, so you don't force yourself to put the plan into motion.
Yeah.
I personally don't think there's any like tangible problem wrong with features. I think it's just a matter of like reaching out to people and making something happen.
Yeah. I think okay, so this is personal opinion. I don't think it's anything that I'm trying to like take shots at anyone or yada yada.
Take the shots.
Is
Load the full magazine, bruv.
No, I feel like with features as at our level, I think there is a kind of a pressure to either pay someone or prove to people that you're
Worthy.
yada yada, whatever else.
Yeah.
So like what I was saying, kind of. If
Yeah,
you
a
feel
little
that.
bit. Yeah. So like it's either yourself or it's like you. That's a personal problem when it's like, oh, I need to prove to them because you need to prove to them, or the paying one where it's like people expect something behind it. Do you get what I'm saying? Now,
How are you charging 5K for a feature, bro?
I would solve that problem with royalties though. Like for me, if I invite anyone onto a feature, I wouldn't pay them
yeah,
unless like that's something that I could provide, because I'm trying to save up now to like, you know, keep things like that in mind. But I think that's the whole point of royalties,
yeah.
you know, and that motivates you to really promote your track so that the royalties start to mean something.
Yeah, I also want to put out there that I think that's more of a me problem, like as in me just thinking ahead that like, oh, people are gonna want money. People ideally, in the most ideal situation, they want a cut of something, which is obviously like if I'm gonna put someone on a song, they're gonna get their side of the royalties and stuff like that. And I think that's personally something that I kind of tell myself, which inevitably kind of holds me back from doing features. I do plan on doing more features though, like a lot more features, because I think just breaking down that kind of clicky kind of vibe and things like that is really important, because when you look at like the come up of all these huge American artists and stuff, especially like in the rap scene, it's kind of like, yo, you're good, I'm good, we're making a song, cool, bet. That's
Yeah.
all they focus on.
That's how it has to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just bringing that fun energy into at least the rap scene and stuff, I think would be a great idea, you know what I'm saying? Also a bit more of creativity now, don't get me wrong, like drill's a good subject. I'm just not a huge fan of making drill songs myself, and obviously I'm not a driller, you know. And so that's why I also kind of plan on working with more varied artists, things like that. I've told you before that there was like a song that I was thinking of getting you on, which I'm holding myself back because I tell myself these
Where's
things.
it at?
Exactly. Where is it at? It's like somewhere at the bottom of my files or something. Me and Dan have made a song. That's easy, you know what I mean? Like I just walk up to his room, mate, I've got this song, mate. And then he's like, yeah, bet. But that's the thing. I think features, one thing artists need to do in Scotland more, or at least just in general, maybe in the whole UK, we don't know. But it's just, bro, go and collaborate with people.
Can I add to that? Sorry. Two things. One major problem that is stopping collaboration. One of my friends told me this. Shout out to you, bro. He goes, at least in Scotland, like people are too focused on connections rather than community. I mean, and I just had a thought, which is my second point. Adding to that point is like, if like being someone who wants community means you're humble enough, Whereas connections can have some sort of prideful, way of going about it. Like if I want to connect with you, it's because I rate you
Yeah.
and you're cool and so and so people, so I want to connect with you. But that's it. We make a track, I get paid, you get paid, and that's it. Whereas community is more like, I like you, I want us to be on a journey together with music, because I like your stuff and so on and so on.
Yeah.
In Scotland, which is a big village, there is a lot, like there are many cliques, many groups, and people in certain groups are not going to be as willing to work with someone unless someone in that group or the group leader, whoever, approves. So it's like a social thing where, let's say we are a group, then someone comes in and you actually like them because they are cool, but they got no followers, they got no streams, they don't look like they are of any sort of cloud status, so you won't support them. That's your opinion. Suddenly, Rue supports them, and you're like, oh, actually, I like this stuff. You're cool.
Yeah. It's like almost there's no independent thinking.
The sheeps, bro.
Yeah.
Like, no offense to any sort of group out there. I hope you do well, but like in Scotland, that is one reason why collaborations and features is such a hard thing to do. Then you have people that might have problems where they're like, okay, I might be afraid I have to pay with like what you said.
Yeah.
And yeah, bro, like I meet talent every single day, and I'm like, I like you, bro. I like you, sis. Let's work together. Just because we're both artists in the same field, trying to make it big, trying to make music. Let's just work together. And that mindset is rare.
I think as well that you saying this, at least in my head, it's not just for artists, because as an artist it makes sense. It's like, for example, another artist doesn't share your music. It only makes sense. Nike doesn't share Adidas' stuff. I think it also goes down to like literal people that are just fans. Do you get what I'm saying? I say fans because we're not that big. That's why I've done that. Not because they're fake or I'm being sarcastic. But it's kind of like these people that could kind of share music. These people that that aren't really doing anything musical. It's like they could help a little bit by sharing. Now, I'm not saying I'm entitled or we are entitled to them sharing or anything. But if you genuinely do like the thing, you know what I'm saying, go and give it a little like and subscribe and comment down in the comment section.
No, you know what we need to do? We need to make social media more intentional again.
Yeah.
And that's only going to start by like trying really hard to like cut out all the bullshit that we see on a day-to-day basis and try to make it ours again. Or if social media is no longer that platform that makes us feel connected to people, we need to start creating our own platforms, Yeah. Like this is something that I'm very passionate about because I don't know if y'all notice, but like somewhere around February 2022, Instagram changed. Like it stopped being going on Instagram and seeing people that you actually know and just seeing their pictures. It just started being like all like the news accounts or like, the gossip accounts or like whatever, like maybe the accounts that you follow with information that you care about, but like those aren't the people that you used to always see on your feed. Yeah, it went from having your friends be the main point of your feed to then having literally like the most dehumanized accounts take over. Yeah. And I thought that it had something to do with, when Russia was infiltrating Ukraine and everything. Like I thought it was like, okay, maybe Meta is just like pushing news sources up on our feeds a bit more, but it never stopped. Like, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. However, I think it's now become a thing where like Instagram does not feel like a communal site anymore.
Bro, those days are long gone, bro.
They've been long gone like before 2022. Yeah. But I remember because like the Instagram that I have now is not the Instagram that I had like forever, because I made it when I got locked out of my account. And I only had like maybe couple hundred followers at the time, like so people that I knew from my masters or maybe people that I like want to like truly like stay in touch with. And when I had my new account, because I guess like the bots didn't find me yet, or because I wasn't following like any celebrities, like I was only following people, I used to go on Instagram and I used to see people, you know? But now I see ads, I see reels, I see all like good information, but it's too much.
Yeah.
So to bring this to your point, Richie, I feel as if like, you know, if we want that community, we need to like work harder to like be more in control of our technology. We need to unfollow accounts that aren't adding anything to our lives, even those were accounts that we might have like been interested in before. We need to like try to like, you know, dismantle the ads as much as possible, or just say not interested, not interested. And then when people that we know post something, like we need to actually go out of our way to engage with that, you know, to try to like sieve through all of that and like to comment and to share. Because if we just continue using Instagram as we do now, I don't know about y'all, but like I don't use it in a meaningful way. I don't. I go on, I flip through my stories, and then I kind of like start to like hate myself for the way that I'm wasting time looking at my stories because I'm not even actively looking at my stories. Sometimes when people post like cool musical things, I look at it, but like it doesn't even feel like that's the point of the app anymore. So I don't even give it that attention. So I feel as if as artists, maybe it's time to think of new ways to connect.
Yeah. I think as well, like people kind of need to have the, like break the stigma that if one person pops off in Scotland, that someone else can't pop off. Because the reason why I say that is because, let's say one person blows up, or for example, like the kind of networking and connection thing. It's like if you make a community with people, what will end up happening is kind of like fans or people that listen to music and stuff, they'll look at you, and let's say one person blows up, they're gonna look at you and be like, okay, who else is there in Scotland? You can never really lose fans in music unless you say something absolutely wild. Like it has to be something stupendous. Because if I have fans, Dan has fans, we make a song, they like that song, it's now like people are also like fans of Dan. You can't necessarily, I can't lose my fans to Dan, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Nobody listens to one artist their whole life. That's why you've got 5 people on your Spotify Wrapped, and that's only 5 out of however many artists you've listened to. So it's kind of like this thing where it's like, oh, I need to be the first to pop off, or I need to yada yada, whatever else it could be. That kind of needs to be like broken down, where it's like, yo, that doesn't matter. In the sense, you kind of just have to network with people, but also build that community. You know what I'm saying? Build that actual friendship where it's like, okay, I know I can make a song with Dan, not necessarily because I know he's got the clout or anything, or I can make a song with Rue because of the same reason, but it's also a thing where it's like, I want to make a song with a friend. You know what I mean? I want to make a song with a person who I believe has these creative abilities that actually bring something to the table that I'm trying to build, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm lacking in that sense and stuff like that. So I feel like these kind of like little groups that everyone kind of splits off to doesn't help anything. It doesn't help absolutely anyone, because if those groups then join together and it's like, okay, you bring your fans, we put them together, and then we get more fans and stuff, then that community kind of just builds and builds and builds, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the thing that a lot of people kind of forget, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you're not going to lose fans. It's not like the transaction is fans.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to give you 50 fans and I'm going to lose a few if for you to come on my song or something like that, you know?
I also think we need to be grateful for the fact that we don't have a lot of fans right now.
Oh, 110%.
Like, that's a beautiful thing, because you put pressure on yourself. I put pressure on myself. You put pressure on yourself. Why do we need strangers to put more pressure on us, you know?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. Like, I really do hope that the day comes in my career where, like, my music is able to connect with enough people that, like, I'm blessed enough to help people consider themselves my fan. But I'm not at that stage
Yeah.
now. So I think the benefit of not having fans, aka like that extreme social expectation,
Yeah.
is to allow us to be at a stage in our careers where like music can be fun. It can be, for what you're saying, let's make a song for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's connect for fun. So that's why I was telling you that I'm not going to say no to any genre, because I'm still a baby in my career. Like there's so much to learn, so many influences to just learn about musically. And I feel as if I were to just like pigeonhole myself into being a soul artist or like a pop artist, you know, okay, like those are only 2 genres out of like a whole world of
Yeah,
genres.
literally.
Yeah.
Music in so many countries that I don't even know about,
Yeah.
you know? And so I think having an open mind is extremely important. And I do think like in Scotland, we have that. I really do, because I know like in the music scene here, there are some murmurs of like, you know, maybe people being concerned about clout or like some people not being open to certain things. But overall, I feel like the Scottish music scene is extremely helpful, is extremely warm. I think we just need to be more intentional about like creating that space, you know?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I fully agree. I feel like there's so much more that we want to talk about and that we are going to talk about. But for time's sake of time, you might have watched our previous episodes. If not, the last 2 or 3. One thing we always do is like we ask the guest, the star of the show, to give yourself a message into the camera for the future.
Oh
So
my
like,
gosh.
listen, you know, tell future Rue whatever you think she needs to hear, and
It can be deep, it can be funny, it can
Exactly.
be silly, it can literally just be ASMR. It's literally up to you, like whatever you want to
you're doing
do.
riffs and runs and does it whatever you want to do.
No riffs and runs. Okay.
I'm joking, of course. Right there.
Phew, this feels so personal. Wow. Okay. Well, dear future Rue, I just want you to know that your current self believes in herself, but she just needs a bit of extra help. She just needs a bit more of like self-motivation, self-encouragement to be able to get past the self-doubt and like the self-sabotaging tendencies, because there is something really, really good waiting for her on the other side. Like she can feel it, you know? So future Rue, I know that you're going to have found a way to overcome this doubt. You would have taken all the anxiety that you feel and transformed it into tangible plans. And you would have already started working on those plans, and you will now be reaping the benefits of it and having your music out there and just be in a state where you're now the next phase of your career. So yeah, present Rue is very grateful for you.
Yeah. Oh, no, here you go. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, that was beautiful.
Future Rue.
Who's streaming it, bro?
Future Rue, we hope that we are proud in you and proud of you, and even if you feel like you're not proud of yourself, we're still proud of you regardless.
Yep.
So make sure you keep doing well.
Yep.
And keep your head up.
Yep.
Stand strong.
Yeah. Well, guys, that was it for today's episode. We had the wonderful Rue Cooper, Rue Cooper, Rue Cooper on the
Zoe Cooper.
show. So yeah, we'll see you next week for more drama and more beef and more of this crackheadery.
Not me though. Y'all stay safe.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for Rue Cooper.
Rue Cooper.
See you guys
Don't
next
make
week.
me do
Peace
my
out.
dance.
Bow.